Hello, welcome to my video on creating your first game in GameMaker. We'll be using Studio 1.4 currently to create this game, and we will be doing a variation with Lesson 3 of Michael Plour's textbook, Introduction to Video Game Design. So we'll be doing things a little bit different. We'll be using the original tutorial from 8.1, and we'll be following along with the instructions that are in lesson 3. All right, it starts with a situation with the awesome game company wanting to create games for young children to improve their control of the mouse and the left click. And the objectives in this are to read the passage on video games and complete the review questions that come with the packet, and then turn in all the materials and create a completed game going through all 200 steps and a little extra. Like I said, this isn't the exact instructions that go with lesson 3, but it will be following along. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open our GameMaker Studio 1.4 and start a new project, and let's call it lesson 3. Hit create, and the first thing that's discussed in our lesson is how to create rooms. So what we have up here, this little white box, create a room, and we click on it and it creates our room 0. We're going to leave that the way it is, and we are going to leave the room with, no, we're going to change this to I believe 640 and 480. So if you have worked with GameMaker before or have gone through the tutorial that comes with Studio 1.4, my first game, where you click on the clown. This is very similar. This is a click on an object game, but this, as I said, was the original tutorial 1 from GameMaker 8.1, which was the fruit click game. So this is 480. All right, so you can see that we've set our we're going to leave these at 32, so these squares are represented. So if I change this to 12, you'll see that the X or horizontal position is much smaller. But we're going to leave this at 32, 32. This is common with the tutorials for GameMaker, the sprites that are already created, but we can create these grids any size we want. And we're going to create a background. This is gray, and let's do a light green. So I clicked on background, I clicked on color, and then I could pick any of these colors here. It's gray, but we're going to change that to light green. And for now, that's fine. So that is all we really need to know. Some of the information that's here is you can turn the grids on and off by clicking on this little grid box. Also over here, if by chance we were doing 3D games, we could create isometric view, but we don't want that, so we're gonna turn that off. We're gonna keep our grid on because we're gonna work with that. So go ahead and hit the check mark, and we have our room 0. And now we're going to add our sprites. Now in the lesson, we come up here to our create a sprite and click on it, and we want to load a sprite, and My sprites right now are on a flash drive. In lesson 3, and I have the sprites. So from 8.1 we have a bunch of sprites. We have the blue pinball, the ball pinball, soccer ball, basketballs, all kinds of stuff. But what I am going to do is I'm going to be using my tutorial 1, and I'm going to start with the apple. So you can see the apples here, and you may not see it, but there's a square, a white square. So I'm going to remove that background and open that, and we can center this so that it's centered. We can hit OK. And the next sprite that we're going to create is our wall. We don't have to remove the background because this is already square. And something I didn't do is we're going to name this SPR_WALL, and we're going to name this one capital SPR_, let's call it APPLE, apple. All right. So it tells us in here to open a ball and call it sprite ball, but we're going to use apple instead. We're going to use the same events and actions on it, but we are going to add things later that allow us to add bananas, cherries, strawberries, and bombs to our event. So we have the apple sprite, which is taking place of the ball sprite, and we have our wall sprite. And now we're going to create 2 objects with them. So we go over here to create an object, and we'll use the apple first, and we'll call this object underscore apple. And we want this to be visible. All right, and we're going to add some events to it, but we'll just create the object first, and then we're going to create the wall object. So we click on our sprite, we have our wall. We're going to call this OBJ_WALL, wall. Now we want this to be solid, so it's visible, right? So if we click this off, then we won't see this image that we want to see. So we want it to be visible, and we want it to be solid, which means that the that other objects can interact with it. All right. When we have objects that are sedimentary or don't move around, we can make them solid, and then have moving objects interact with them. You can double click on this, and with this we don't want to make that solid because it creates problems with the coding. If you have objects that are moving around, if they are solid also, then that'll create some problems. So we're not gonna create that and make it solid. All right, so like I said, we're going to put some code in here, but the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our room. So we double click on the room, and under objects we have an apple, and we could place the apple in the middle of the room. We could place it anywhere, and then we come over here and we have wall objects, and these are 32 by 32, so they fit perfect in our grids, and we just add these throughout the boundaries. So we're going to have our apples move around, and we can place as many apples as we want, but we're going to start with just one apple. We're going to have the apples move around, and when they come in contact with these solid wall objects, they're going to react with them. Alright, so right now that's all we need to do. We save that. We have one apple and a wall on the outside of the room. So that was adding objects to the room. Obviously that was pretty simple. Something you could see here was, let's go to the room. Oops. If I can click and drag the apple anywhere I want, and it's going to start in that position. And if I want to get something, I can just right click and delete. Right? If I just left click on it, oops. See, now I got two apples. I could leave two apples there, but what we're doing here is only requesting that we start with one apple. When we do more, create more rooms, then we can create more fruit, more apples, or add other fruit like bananas or strawberries or cherries, or add bombs, or we can add more walls. We're going to start with this simple room that's just an outline of a solid wall and an apple in the middle. Okay? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, double click on our apple object here, and we're going to add an event, and we're going to add a create event, and we're going to come over here to where it says move fixed. We're going to place that in there, and if we pick one direction, then it's going to move in that one direction. I'm going to pick a speed of 5. The packet says a speed of 10, but I'm going to pick a speed of 5 because that's a little more controllable. Now if I pick 2, then it'll randomly select that it'll either go in this direction or that direction. Now for this lesson, it's asking us to pick just those 4 directions, but we can pick all 8 of these directions, and it will randomly select those directions. But if we pick this middle one means don't move. So we want it to move. And we have a speed of 5, so it's just going to move at 5 pixels per frame. So that's a constant speed. If we click on relative, then it'll go 5, and then it'll add 5, and add 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. It'll go faster and faster and faster with every pixel. We don't want that to happen. So we're not going to click relative. We're going to keep a constant speed of 5. Now later I'll show you how you can modify these with the different directions. So let's hit OK. And let's go ahead and file, save, and I think we can check it, so you can push game and see what happens. So it's going to pick one of those 4 directions to go in, and then it goes right off the wall. Because we haven't, which is the next thing we're going to do, is we're going to add a collision, and it's going to collide with the wall, right? So that's the only other thing that's going to happen, is that it collides with the wall. And when it collides with the wall, we're going to have it bounce off the wall. So that's this guy right here, bounce. So it's going to bounce off the wall, and the wall is a solid object. Any solid objects, anything we click that makes solid, it'll bounce off of. And we want it not precisely. And self means that it will bounce off the solid objects. So we hit OK. So let's try that. So file, save. Here's run your game. Now let's see what's changed. So there it goes. Oh, and it bounced off that object. Bounce. So that takes care of that. So now we just have an apple that bounces around the screen as it moves. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to click on it using our mouse, because that was our objective. So we have our mouse and we have our left pressed, right? That's when you click, is the left pressed. And we're going to add a score. So we go over our score tabs and drag in the score. And we want a new score. It says to use 1, but let's use 10, right? Let's use a score of 10. And we're going to make that relative, so that what that means, if I leave it at 10, when I click on it, it's 10. When I click on it, it's 10. When I click on it, it's 10. It'll always be 10. But relative means that it's going to add it. So if I click on it once, that's 10. If I click on it again, that's 10 more. 10 more. 10 more. So relative means whatever this number is, more of it each time you do something. So we have a click on it. So when we click on it, it's going to set a score of 10 more. All right, let's file, save that. Now, we don't really see that right now, so we're going to need to create something later, or we can do it now. So let's say OK on that, and we're going to create a new object. Create a new object, and we're going to call this a controller. You can call it anything you want. You can just leave it as its name, but it's pretty common that we have a controller, and a controller is usually something that's not really recognizable, so it doesn't take up space. So let's do add event. We want to do a draw. We want to draw event, and then under score, we want to draw the score. Okay, and we'll pick this to be 64. This is where we're going to have our scoreboard. It's going to say, and all it's going to say is score, right? And I think we click on relative, and then we hit OK. All right, and we hit OK here, and then we go into our room. So now we have a new object, and it's the object controller, and it doesn't have any sprites involved with it. We can put it anywhere. You can drag it around. You're not going to see this little blue dot, and what's going to happen is the score is going to appear right here, 64, 64. So let's hit file, save. All right, so the score came all the way down here. Click on it. 10. I got it. Can't get it. 20. So there's our score. So I didn't want that there. Let's see. File, save. Where are we? run. Right, so that's a good place for my score. Score 10, 20. So we can see, what our score is. 30. So every time I click on that little apple, my score goes up. So do that file, save. All right, so now we're going to put some sound effects in here. All right, so little check mark. All right, so let's do our object apple. All right, so we have a create. Okay, so we have, I got to put the sounds in, so let's get rid of that. Add sounds, and look, and we have to go back to my, the tutorial ones are here. It's empty. All right, let's go back to GameMaker. Lesson 3, tutorial 1. Says there's no sounds in there. Okay. Lesson 3, my first game. Okay, so we'll use these ones. So I have these in my first game. So we'll bring in bounce, open. Okay, all that's fine. So we change this to, this is bounce. So we'll change this to SND underscore BOUNCE. Hit OK. And then we do another sound object. We found click, open, SND underscore CLICK. Hit OK. And the third sound is music, open, SND underscore MUSIC, music. Okay. So we have these three sounds in here. Now open the Apple object, and when we have a collision, what we're going to do is we're going to under main 1 add a sound, and the sound is going to be our bounce sound, and we don't want that to loop, we only want it to happen once. And when we click on it, we're going to add a sound, and we want that to be our sound click. Hit OK. We only want that to happen once. We get OK to that. And then in our object controller, click on that. We're going to have a create event. Oops. And in that create event, we're going to put sound, and the sound is going to be our background music, and we're going to want that true. We're going to want it to loop over and over again as we play. So we hit OK to that. We hit OK. All right, file, save, and then the game. All right, so we have our background music. You can, as that bounces, did I click on it? Oops, I gotta click on it. So I got 10 points. All right, so I get 10 points every time I click on it. All right, so there we have our sound put in. We added our sounds. We have it with our collisions. All right, so the next thing is how to add end games or next levels. So we click on our object apple, and okay, so what we're going to do over here is in score, where we got on left pressed, and then we have our score set to 10, and then over here we have our test score, and if the value is, we want a value greater than 10, so if we have the value, let's say 50, so if the value is 50, that means you clicked it 5 times. So if it's equal to 50, then what we're going to do is we're going to end the game, which is it this one? No, the stop time. There it is. End game. So the game will end. It'll be over. So if we click our apple 5 times, that adds up to 50, and then we'll end the game. So let's file, save, and let's run it. All right. So I click it. 1. Oops. 2, 3. So if I click it one more time, the game ends. There. So the game ended. Okay. Well, that's great, but we don't want just the game to just end. So let's what we want it to do is we want it to go to the next room. So we'll put that in there. So now this next room is a next level. All right, so let's do that. We don't have it yet, so we have to, if you right click on this, we can duplicate it. So now this is room 1. All right, so the first room, level 1, is room 0. This is room 1. So what we want to do is we want to make this different somehow. So some things we can do is we can change the background color, right? And something else we can do is we can set it up so that it looks different, and we have different objects in there. And something else we can do is now we can put 2 apples in there. All right, so let's do file, save, and let's run this. All right, so here's level 1. 1, 2. All right, one more. All right, so now we got, so I get 10 points off that apple, 10 points off that apple. All right, so now we got 2 levels. It's a little more difficult to click. All right. So we put our second level in there. All right, so let's do something. I'm going to save this the way it is right there, and we're going to bring in a background. So we have create a background, and we're going to load a background, and we're going to go to my E drive, and GameMaker, lesson 3, and we have backgrounds. So we have the wood background, so this looks like wood. So we can just hit open. That's good the way it is. All right, so now when we go back to room 1, we can click on backgrounds, and we can pick, I didn't name it, you can name it wood background, but I didn't. We can, now we can test that. One more. All right, so now you see you get a background in here. All right. All right, so that was loading our backgrounds. Next level. Talks about how to add cheat codes to skip levels. So you can go ahead and add that. I don't have to add that for you. We got the next level. All right, so now we can do the same thing. We can duplicate. Now we got room 2, so we have 0, 1, 2. All right, and we can add things to that. So we can make it. Let's go to objects. Let's start by making the room a little more. Oops. All right, so now we got more things for it to bounce off of. I won't put any more apples in there right now, but you would be able to bring in sprites. We can create strawberries, and we can create cherries, and just like you did with the apple, you go back, bring it in, and then you create objects, and you could add all the same code to it, and you can add them in there. So let's go ahead and check mark that. So we have our code here. So now we can do more. All right, so we can have our score. So now what if the score goes up to 100? It's equal to, okay. Now it will go to the next level, which is room 2. So we can put it in there. So then it goes to the next level. Oh, I know what it's supposed to do. So then let's do this right now. So put the score in there, and then put 150. All right, you could make the rooms bigger. Hit OK. And we can go into the next level. And that's okay. So we got that on. So far we just have these 2 objects. They go in there. They go to the next level. And what we want to do is we want to create a room, and we'll create one because we don't want the one we had with everything in it, 680. We want it to be a blank. Let's say 480. Is that what it was originally? $640 and $480. All right, so $640. So these are the same as the other rooms. We'll do a background. We could leave it at this grayish background. Hit OK. All right, so that's we have 4 rooms, and we want to create a sprite, and we want to create our own sprite. So we're going to edit a sprite, and we want to create a new sprite, and we wanted the width to be let's see, it was 480, so let's go 400, and we want the height to be 600. Oops, 600. Okay. All right, so we got this wrong. All right, so we want the width to be 600 and the height to be 400. Okay, so that's what we want it to be. I'll open that up a little bit, and hit OK. We edit this sprite, double click on it, and we can add text. And then we can pick for our font. We can pick, click on this, it should give us everything. We can draw anything we want. So we can say, there, that's a good. This one, bold, 20, color, let's just go with black. Hit OK and type in congratulations. Exclamation point. Okay. Put this in the middle here. You are a, okay. Winner. Oh. You are a winner. All right. And then you can play with all that. Cancel. Don't want that. Hit OK. We'll name this. Oops. Hit OK. Name this text. Oops. SPR underscore text. Okay. And we go to room 3. Oops, we gotta make it an object. All right, so create object. Let's write text. And we call this object underscore text. Okay. Go to room 3. We have nothing in here, so we go to objects. We hit object text, then you click, and you go ahead and move that wherever you want it. We could have made the text bigger, but we don't have to. Congratulations, you are a winner. And hit the check mark, file, save. All right, so now when you get 50 points, you go to room 1, and when you get another 50 points, you go to room 2, and when you get another 50 points, you go to room 3 that says congratulations, you are a winner, and then you're just kind of sitting there. Okay, so the last thing that I'm telling you is now that we have this room, all right, so when you play the game, you go there and it's over. Congratulations, you won. Now you have to finish your packet, and you could do this by yourself. So what's left? All right, so in the folders I gave you, there are on lesson 3 the sprites. There's buttons. and there's a play button and a quit button. So you can add those here to your game, and then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure out from what I already explained to you how to get back to this one. Create an object, follow directions, right? Create objects for these, and then this one, when you hit quit, the game ends, which is something I already showed you in this video, and it's in the packet. And if you hit this one, then you go all the way back to the first room, so you can start over again. And then you're going to have to add your own title page. So you have to follow these instructions to create your own room. And you wouldn't add a quit button, but you would add a play button to it so that you can play the game over again. And then what you have to do is you have to do the go beyond here. And basically what you're going to be doing for this is adding the other fruit that were given to you, and then the enemy would be the bombs. So you can see these were all given to you in your tutorial 1. You have the banana, the strawberry, the cherry, and then you have the bombs. So you have to have them interact with each other for these steps. And something you can do if you get stuck is you can go back to this video that I created called GameMaker Tutorial 1, your first game, and you can go through and see how to add the cherries, how to add bombs, how to add them all interact with each other with different levels. So you should have at least 6 levels when you're done. You should have bombs, cherries, bananas, all moving around different points, interacting with each other, and you should have different rooms with different interactions, and that would be a completed assignment. So good luck with that, and have fun.